What is up, everyone? Welcome to round 6 of the Portland Monthly Premodern Paper Magic Afternoons January tournament. We are in the semi-finals, so let's see who's playing. First up, we have Caustic making the return to camera with his crazy Amugaba turns brew. This is a really cool deck that uses Dreamhalls to cheat large card draw spells into play, as well as the deck's name Amugaba, that a 6/6 flying eel that can end the game all by itself. The deck also runs plenty of extra turn spells and ways to cheat not only Dreamhalls into play, but also the big eel with show and tell and just mana acceleration through sack land, pain lands, and lotus petals. Overall, a super cool build. So glad that it's been doing so well at this tournament. And yeah, let's see who he's playing against. Well, you can't keep a good deck down, and Marshall is actually back on camera despite losing last round. He did have enough points to make the top 4 along with Duck, so maybe we'll see a rematch. Either way, this is a super sweet 5-color recurring survival list that uses a toolbox of creatures and survival of the fittest to basically get whatever you need in that situation, and then also has a 4 of recurring nightmare to, well, recur all those creatures, many of which have ETB abilities. Pair that with Palinchron and you have the potential to have an unlimited card draw engine, unlimited damage, whatever you want with that creature toolbox. Very cool list, and honestly I can't wait to see these two go at it. So without further ado, let's get in the games. Here we are in game number 1. All right, we have Marshall on the left, I believe. Caustic on the right. I might have introduced these decks backwards. That's all right. Usually I try and do the left player first, but it is what it is. All right, both players looking at their hands. A 7 looks like both are keeping, and Marshall's going to go on to play with a forest. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. A lot of the altars in Marshall's list are really cool. Not only does he have a lot of Christmas altars, because that's what him and his partner really like, but he also just has some really cool land altars as well, with some lands inspired to look like legends, which did not have a basic land set. All right, so just a little bit of ramping going on here. Got a wall roots coming out for Marshall. Caustic just going and getting a basic island. Ooh, and even more ramp. Birds of Paradise go. Really putting the pedal to the metal on this list. I'm not sure if he knows what Caustic is playing, but Caustic does not have a ton of interaction main deck. It's going to be primarily looking to accelerate into his own game plan with some counter magic, but mostly just looking to get his value engine going before survival hits the field. And Marshall just deciding on his next play. I don't think I see a survival in hand. Just gonna tap 3, and we're gonna play out I believe it's a Yavimaya Granger. This is the one where it goes and fetches you a forest directly on the battlefield, tapped. It does have an echo cost, so it's one of those that has its own little sack outlet, and you can get it back with recurring nightmare if you don't pay it. Oh, and maybe it's just basic land. I think it might actually just be basic land for whatever reason, and I usually only see this card in an elf list. Usually you're grabbing the forest 9 times out of 10. Okay, so we got a bit of everything. We got a mountain, a swamp, and, well, a pain land, I should say, and a forest. So mana is not really an issue here, along with 2 mana dorks. And what is Caustic going to do? Looks like we are just gonna be cycling. Or just discarding to hand size. No, discarding to hand size. Oh no, this is not what you want to see. All right, so Marshall not paying the echo cost. Granger going to the grave. And just has all the men in the world to do whatever he wants. What are we doing? Playing out City Brass. Notably, the dice is not on the mat for this game. So I believe, ooh, there's the survival hitting the field. Oh no. Yes, that is a huge advantage, and without a way to interact with it, I fear this is going to be a pretty quick game. Okay, wall of roots coming down. Not activating the survival just yet. I believe that's the cleric that has enchantment. No, that's the life gain creature that that Marshall has in hand right now. Could very easily pitch it, and probably will at the end step. And Caustic just kind of thinking here. He does have a pedal in hand. And no, it's just going to pass. So drawing a little dead land-wise, it looks like. He does have a show and tell. I don't know if he has a Dreamhalls, though. So both players thinking things through here a little bit. Marshall's gonna take a quick look at that electric eel. 6/6 flyer for I think it's 4 mana. You can return it to your hand. Kind of protects itself. Really just the biggest blue flyer I believe there is in Premodern. So getting that evasive behemoth going is definitely a win con in all of itself. In fact, it's the main win con, I would say, for Caustic's list, which is why it's in the name, Amugaba turns. And some decision making going on here. I don't know if we're still in Marshall's turn or if we're in Caustic's end step. I think we're in his end step and deciding if Marshall wants to activate that survival. Are we still in Caustic's main? Looks like maybe we are. A lot of thinking going on. I wonder if he does have a Dreamhalls, and he's just trying to decide if this is the time to go for that show and tell. Chances are there's nothing super scary in Marshall's hand. Ooh, we are actually just going to go and get rid of all the basic lands in the deck. Caustic saying, I pretty much have this. I don't need any more mana. Sorry, it's not just basic, it's all lands, I believe. Remove as many lands as you want. And I think he's doing this partially because he saw there is no counter magic in Marshall's list so far. No straight blue. A survival list running counterspell would be interesting. I have seen a blue-green survival list running around that. It's pretty cool. But yeah, really just going to be taking out a ton of lands. I don't think he took out all of them. I think he left in some basics just in case. But really thinning his deck out, really hoping to just draw gas. I think he's literally just looking for Dreamhalls at this point. I don't think he has in hand. If he did, he would have used the show and tell more than likely. And I imagine Marshall, if he hasn't been watching this deck do its thing over the course of the day, is maybe a little confused as to what's going on. Alright, so here we're going to get a survival activation. And what do we grab? Gonna pitch the life gain. Now, I think the best option here would probably be Squee first. And then, ooh, thinking of just grabbing an Avalanche Riders actually instead. Going for, okay, the discard. Interesting. Why not Squee first? I guess this to me says that we do have a recurring nightmare in hand. Okay. Discarding one more time. And grabbing That is interesting. I would have maybe put one of those as a squee, just to get it back next turn. Okay, instead grabbing it for the main creature. Interesting. Okay. Marshall has definitely played this deck a lot more than me. So we're gonna trust his expertise in the matter. Oh, no, it looks like he's not grabbing the squee, actually.
What's going on?
No, okay, still sticking with it. We're gonna run it. But I think he's potentially looking to blow up both islands, really put Caustic on a dangerous path in terms of mana. He still needs 2 to show and tell. And what are we going to see here? Okay, Karplusan Forest. So he does have enough mana to recurring Nightmare twice. Although, yeah. Okay, there's the recurring Nightmare. What do you sack here? Probably Wall Blossoms, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Return to my hand, sacrifice Wall Blossoms.
Yep. Get a Rider, blow up an island. Then play it up. Okay, I see why he pitched both the Avalanche Riders.
Sack Raiders, grab Raiders. Yep.
So he's not going to switch them out, but yeah, one goes in the graveyard, one goes back on the blow up an island, and then we're going to swing. So Caustic with no lands in hand, most likely. No lands, or hardly any lands in the deck. Really just hoping for, I think, a second Lotus Petal. And just going to pass. Just to avoid a discard, I'm pretty sure. And Marshall, I think, smelling a little bit of blood in the water. Gonna pitch the squee. Could probably just grab a threat at this point. Maybe maybe the minions, maybe the squirrels. We're gonna see a bunch of squirrels. Oh no, thinking about some hand hate here. Actually, I think this is Merrick Fiend. One of the ones that that hits your opponent's hand. Really just looking to remove any doubt that he's gonna have of winning this game. And also, I think, kind of wanting to figure out what Caustic's deck is doing. I think he's not super familiar with it. And is at a little bit of a loss. So for games 2 and 3, just trying to figure out what he needs to actually be sideboarding in. Now his deck does run Living Wish as well, so that does help with some of the sideboarding. But could always be better. And nope, we're just going to scoop up right here. Caustic not giving him any info heading into game number 2. Here we are in game number 2. Caustic going to be on the play, wisely scooping as to not reveal any info as to what his deck does. And both players are actually going to mulligan. Go into 6. When you are playing such a combo oriented, I guess. Yeah, it is technically a combo. It's not a deterministic combo necessarily, but being able to get enough extra turn spells out with Amugaba is the win con. Being able to just power out those draw spells and find more and more gas is what makes the deck so good and why it's done so well up until this point. Caustic did mention that the deck has been a little camera shy and has not really lived up, as we did see in the last time it was on camera, but it's obviously been doing well off camera, so maybe this game will be the one where we actually see it do its thing. Oh, a little bit of a card reveal there. We're just going to shuffle that back in. And hopefully both players get a solid 6 and we can see both decks do their thing. Ooh, we're going to do the multi-pile shuffle here. Still no dice on the table, unfortunately. I can see them just out of frame. Unfortunately, we crop to the mat just as a easy way to stabilize things and get rid of camera motion. So I'll do my best to keep life totals in mind, but I believe this is going to come down to either Caustic gets the Amugaba and wins in a turn or two, and life totals aren't going to matter that much, or Marshall just overwhelms with value. And Caustic is going to ship it back and going to 5, unfortunately. See if we can get a peek at what Marshall's working with here. I guess he planes Carplucent Forest, maybe. I think I might have seen a Squee, which is a pretty good one to start with as long as you have a survival. I guess we do have the life pad there, but it is a little on the small side. And it looks like we are going to keep having to put 2 back. Unless the players agreed that that'd just be no fun for camera. But this is a casual tournament, but I imagine we're going to go the full 2 back, yep. Portland Premodern is a very proxy-friendly tournament. We're just going to play a land that you can sack for, well, has the counters that generates 2 mana. Really only need that burst of mana, and then in theory you don't need any more mana for the rest of the game. We're also going to play out a Bloodstained Mire and pass. Looks like we're going with the sack land this time. So next turn, at least 4 mana available. Very slow start from Marshall this time. Not sure what exactly he's got in hand at this point, but no 2 drops at least. All right, we're going Lotus Petal. We're up to 5. Just playing 4 to draw some cards, I believe. And still just a land and pass. Very slow start for Marshall. He is holding on to a Naturalize, but that Naturalize can only do so much when most of Caustic's spells are at instant speed. So Marshall, I think, getting an idea of what is going on here, really hedging that bet. All right, we got another Lotus Petal. And I think that was a pass turn, but before end of turn, let's go get a land. Probably be a swamp here. I don't see a reason for him to grab the mountain necessarily, unless he's got an Avalanche Rider in hand. Okay, so maybe he does. Grabbing the mountain. I guess he does technically have black mana up with the Landwar Wastes. And this is, again, not going to be a matchup that is going to be decided by Pain Lands necessarily. When your opponent's only win con is a 6/6 swinging in. That does end the game pretty quick. Alright, Carplucent Forest coming down as well. I think that's the altered one with the Grinch art. And I believe all of his altars, except for maybe the Legends lands, are actually done by the artists on the card themselves. The Legends lands, that they're totally custom art, are done by someone else. I'd love to know in the comments, actually, who did that altar for him, because all of those lands look super cool. All right, we got a Polluted Delta coming down for Caustic. And I mean, he's going to be grabbing an island. There's no other, there's no swamps or no black pips in his deck. But now, does he have enough mana to try and go for it? That is the question. I think so. I think he could give it a go. Nope, just drawing more cards. To be fair, he's not in a rush. There is no threat on the board. He can really take his time. And this is, I think, where his deck is actually going to be favored, because there is no clock. And Marshall really needs to start adding one to the board if he has any hopes of running away with game number 2. And here is an Avalanche Rider. Did Caustic bring in all of his land destruction? He did mention before that land protection is huge for this deck. And I imagine after getting blown out game 1 with those double Avalanche Rider triggers, he did bring it in, but nope. That is going to be good. Swing in for 2, your go. Down to 17, I believe. And pass. Doing a little counting here, seeing how much mana he's got. He has seen a lot of cards, so he doesn't have Dreamhalls yet. That would be surprising. A little hard to tell, but it might be in hand. And nope, it's just going to pass. Reminding him of the Echo trigger. Nope, not going to pay. Makes sense. Draw for turn. Ooh, we got the hand hate on the draw. That's pretty good. I take 1, go to I think 18 now. And what are you working with? Very good top deck for Marshall. Caustic thinking through if he wants to fire off this draw spell. Not be ideal. He will lose a land to do it. Alright, gonna fetch first. Tap in 2. And is there a counter spell? Do we draw some other protection? Yes, we do have a counter spell. Alright. No, you may not look at my hand. Pass the turn. Now I wonder, do you go for it? There's an Ancient Tomb. So sitting at potentially 2, 4, 6, 8 mana. Oh no. Another Avalanche Rider. Blow up your sack land. Not what you want to see. At this point, I feel like you just crack it for the mana. Take 2 points. Go to 15. Or 14, sorry, because of the fetch. And draw some more cards. Just trying to draw into that win con. A counter spell, which is good. He does have 2 blue up. Just doing a little math on the life total. And Marshall gonna pass. All right. I think that is a Dreamhalls that he just drew. Second Ancient Tomb coming down. Taking 4. This has to be it. This has to be where he's going for it. Notably, Naturalize is no longer up, and that is a Dreamhalls. And we're going to get to see the deck do its thing. Or not. Oh no, that is a Pyroblast. And did not have the mana up for the counter spell, unfortunately. This looking very bad. Unless he has something like a gush. That counterspell not going to be doing anything. Or did he let...
Yeah.
No, I think this is on the stack. This has to be on the stack. I don't think Marshall would let that resolve. Still in Caustic's turn. Thinking through and just going to pass. All right. Don't forget, pay the echo cost. Nope, not going to pay it. Makes sense. How about a third one? Oh my, yep. Hit one of your islands and then hit you for 2. And things not looking good here, unfortunately. Not enough mana to heart. Oh, a Lotus Petal does help. At least holding up some counter magic. Potentially. Gonna play out tap land. Another one of those sack lands. And probably just gonna pass the turn here. All right. Echo cost on the rider. Most likely not paying it. Oh no, is in fact going to pay it. All right. Swinging for 2. Caustic being at a low enough life at this point that makes sense to keep a threat on the board. And I believe this is the turn he has to go for it. Really having to think here. He did draw the card that exiles as many lands as he wants from his deck, but I don't think that's gonna matter at this point. That will matter if he does get a Dreamhalls out and is able to use it. Marshall is mostly tapped out again, and I don't think I see another Pyroblast, although definitely representing having one. And I'm not entirely sure how much life Caustic is at. I can't tell if that's a 9 or a 4, but not a lot. And those ancient tombs not helping right now, unfortunately. Acceleration is good early game, but late game it can definitely put you in a bit of a bind. Alright, I was just going to pass. No land coming down. Another 2 coming in. And is this when we put more pressure on the board? Do we even have more pressure to put? Maybe trying to draw out that counterspell would be a good plan. Being able to hold up a naturalize. And that is a Living Wish. Very dangerous if it resolves. Being able to go get whatever you potentially might need in the form of a creature. Or land. Most likely a creature. Looking at that Get To Slinger is It is a win con with the right set of cards, and it's gonna go ahead and play it. Ping you for 2. Counterspell is up if he wants to use it. And yep, is going to be forced to counter that. Too dangerous to be kept alive. And Marshall's just going to pass. And that did not look like the card that Caustic needed. I think he was hoping for a show and tell. I'm not sure if he does have a Dreamhalls in hand, but seemingly not moving very quickly, so I don't think he has a clear path here. I think the Ancient Tombs are more or less useless at this point, or fast becoming so. Alright, gonna sack for 2. Going to Impulse. Really digging here. And that is going to be game. Marshall takes down the semis and is going to be going to the finals. Good job. Good games, both of you. Unfortunately, not able to see what Amugaba Turns does on camera. We got so close. Maybe next tournament if he decides to bring it, but great job again by Caustic to make it this far. That deck looks super fun. Thank all of you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the finals coming up, as well as next month's tournament. I'm recording this. Well, we've already recorded next month's tournament because I am a little bit behind. So lots more games coming, lots of sweet new brews, some really fun stuff. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on that. Thank you all again, and I'll see you next time.